up? Thank you for that intro. So let me know, we're good on the recording?
Ready to go.
Perfect. Fantastic. Okay. So, guys, what is up? Good to see a lot of you again. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names, a lot of familiar faces, which is awesome. So a couple things for those of you that have heard me talk before, I could talk forever. I can go on for literally hours about AI. So I want to go ahead and dive right in because I don't have that much time with you. First thing to understand though is that I'm going to be respectful and try to get through all of my content on the hour mark because I know that you guys have things to do, but I will absolutely stay behind to talk about extra things, to answer questions. If you guys want to double tap on any of the things that I talk about, no worries. I think the last one went an hour and a half, if not a little bit more. So I'll hang around as long as you guys want to hang around, but I will try to get the core stuff done within the hour. That way I'm being respectful of your time. So that's number one. Number two, I also do have Irma here helping me in the chat. So if you guys have questions, please throw them in there. I'm going to try to get to questions in real time. It's easier said than done. But I'm going to do the best that I can. And I will certainly open up the floor at the end to some questions all the way through. Okay. So no worries about that. Um, and that's really it. I think, to be honest, I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. Once again, any questions, throw it up. We'll go ahead and start working through it. Irma's in the chat, and I think we're good to go. So, with that being said, this is the second part in our three-part series. Okay. And the thing I'm really excited about with Kreb is that this is the first time that I'm finally being allowed to teach AI the way that I want to teach AI, which is impossible to do in 1 hour. I've done keynotes for a lot of the big brokerages. I've done webinars on a weekly basis. And the thing I keep telling is that you are going to be really, really hard pressed to teach anybody anything about AI in one session. And the main reason for that really is the fact that you can show somebody how to do a very specific thing with AI, but then that's the only thing they can do. They can't do anything else. And that completely defeats the purpose of AI. So I'm really happy we were working closely with Kreb to try to put together a three-part series so I can teach AI the way I want to teach AI, which is starting from the top and then working our way down through all the different things. It's not just about one specific workflow. It's not just about one specific tool or chat. It's not just about one specific way of prompting. It's how I can give you guys everything you need to run with AI. So that way, any single time there's something you want to do with AI, it's not like, oh, I didn't learn exactly how to do this one thing. You actually have an understanding of how AI works so you can start implementing it into your business. So that's why I like this three-part crash course, and it does absolutely build on itself. So a couple of reasons on that. AI is not one of these things. It's incredibly easy to use. It is not intimidating at all as long as you take the time to lean in. If you think AI is just going to do everything for you, then you're never going to succeed with AI. Just because you don't have the right mentality. Like, you're expecting things to be done for you, and there's nothing in the world that's going to do that unless you want to pay for it to happen. However, AI is one of those things that if you just lean in a little bit, you'll get a lot out of it. So absolutely, like, I'm holding you guys accountable to this. I signed homework last time. I expect that you guys are progressing through this because there are a select group of people on this call who are taking notes, who do want to learn, who are going to take a lot of this. And I want to make sure to gear these presentations for them, the ones that are really taking the initiative. So that's the benefit of a three-part series. And what I will go ahead and say is that if you missed the first one, it is okay. The reason that I keep sending, I think Jacqueline mentioned, we send out the recordings, we send out follow-ups. I'm available once again to kind of go and walk things through with people, because if someone did miss it, but they're like, no, I'm serious about learning AI, we don't want them to fall behind. So you have full access. I'll also be sending out an email after this that has the previous recording as well as this one. So you'll have the full series by the end of all of it. But once again, this is definitely something that you have to lean in on. If you don't plan on leaning in, if this is something where you're just going to like, okay, like listen here and there, you're just not going to get that much out of it. But the people that are here that are like, okay, I need to start becoming AI assisted, this is exactly how I would do an AI course if I were to do it. Okay. So real quickly, quick recap. The first level that we did was the level one. It was the basics. Okay. I told you guys that I needed to give you a foundational understanding of what AI is before we could go on. And no worries, Tanya. Like I said, you missed the first session. It's all good. You'll get the recording. And I'm going to do a very, very quick recap here. What I then told you guys was that once we have the basics understood, we're going to go into level 2, which is actually using AI. And I told you guys that I want to build this specifically around the people who are leaning in. So I said, I'm like, hey, listen, if you guys tell me what you want to learn about, I will tailor these courses to make sure that we're actually teaching you things that you want to learn. And I think you'll be very happy about the topic on this course because it was the thing that got brought up the most in the last one, as well in the feedback survey. It was the most requested topic. So stick around because it's going to be good for that. And once again, please do fill out that survey because I'm taking that into account as we build the next ones. So level 1 was figuring out how to actually prompt, different ways of using AI, the different tools. Today, I'm actually going to show you how to do a very specific thing with AI. And then the next one is actually building out a workflow that you can implement into your business. Okay. So today we're going to be focusing on level 2. To do a very, very quick recap of what we did in level 1, all we really did was go through the difference between the models and the tools. We broke down, the difference between OpenAI and DeepSeek and Google and Claude and Anthropic and Twitter and X, and how all the different companies are building these different AI models, and then how those chats, right? So Chat GPT, Claude, Gemini for Google, those are sort of these chat interfaces. But then what's happening is people are also building very specific tools. These are different. The tools are solving one very specific problem for somebody and they're AI enabled versus the models that can kind of be like your general sort of AI interface. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about traditional prompting. So like how to make the most out of your prompts, how to establish the role, how to establish the goal, how to establish context, things like that. And then we went through real world prompting. And what I talked about it with real world prompting was essentially this idea that, yes, you can learn how to do proper prompting. You can learn how to do a proper prompt structure. You can learn how you got to give the role, the goal, the context, the task. But the truth is, and the number one question that we always get is, do you have to do that every single time you're talking to Chat GPT? And the answer is no, you don't have to do it every single time. What ends up happening is that it's like anything else. It's like doing math. I'm horrible at math, by the way. So just don't, I'm non-technical and I hate math. The only reason I went to the University of Waterloo was because it was the only university in the country that had a health program where that didn't require math. So literally I can't do math. But like math, you start off by learning how to do things long form. And then as you do it a lot and you start to understand it better, you can take shortcuts. Same with prompting. And that's what I call real world prompting. Okay. So when you're able to go in to Chat GPT, you know that the role is important, the goal is important, and all these things, but you're like, you know what? I don't need to give you that for this particular prompt. That's the point of real world prompting. So that's the stuff that we did in level 1. Okay. So what are we doing today in level 2? We're going to get our hands dirty. This is a workshop. Okay. I've told you guys this from the get-go. So we're going in there. We're going to break things down. I'm going to show you all the conversations with Chat GPT, how I set all this up. But today, what we are focusing on is CMAs. Okay. So comparative market analysis. This is the thing that in the chat was going crazy. Everyone was asking about how to do CMAs. When we did the surveys, it was all about CMAs. Okay. So I was like, all right, no problem. I haven't done a CMA one before. I'm like, this is what Krebs, you guys want to hear this. So this is what we're going to do. And as someone who's never done a CMA before, I'm excited to show you how I learned how to do it and how I used AI to do it. Okay. So the number one thing, though, that I want to leave you guys with at the end of anything you do with Marc LaFleur when it comes to AI is understanding that it is not about the one skill or the one outcome that I'm trying to show you with AI. Learning how to use AI for CMAs does not matter. Learning how to use AI, period, is what matters. It's the whole idea. I actually had it written here before. It's like, I'm going to teach you guys how to drink. You know, the whole age old tale, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink. I refuse to lead you guys to water. Okay. Anybody can do that. Anybody can show you how to do emails with AI. Anybody can show you how to do CMAs with AI. I want to show you how to use AI so that anything you want to come up with, emails, social media content, CMAs, listing descriptions, anything, you'll be able to build it from scratch and figure out how to do it on your own because you have a fundamental understanding of how AI works. I'm just now using CMAs as an example because it's most relevant and most interesting to you guys. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. So what are we going to talk about first? So number 1 is exactly what I just said. I'm teaching you how to use AI. That's the most important thing. Number 2, I need to describe to you guys. So as I was doing the CMAs and trying to build prompts to do this, I realized there's a quick little education component around the biggest barrier in AI. Some of you have probably already heard me talk about this, but it's really relevant for doing CMAs. Number three is going to be the results. So actually, I was able to come up with a 10-minute CMA. That's just kind of what I decided to call it. There's no like special thing around it. It just, you can get a CMA done in about 10 minutes. And that's what I'm going to show you guys how to do. And then most importantly is I'm going to show you how I discovered how to do this in real time with all the chats. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'll leave that there. I've done this enough times. Here, it's right here. Scan this up. Irma's going to drop the link in the chat. I will give you guys a copy of these slides. I know some of you have to go. I know some of you have to run. And I know a lot of people like to make you wait till the end to get access to this. I'm just going to give it to you right now. So just go ahead and scan this, or just put your name and email into the link that Irma sent, and you will get an emailed copy of this into your inbox right away. Okay, so I'll leave this up for another 15 seconds, but you've got the link there in case you have to run or you have to leave or anything at all. Please just go ahead. This will give you guys access. Do not put your email in the chat. You don't need to do that. Just go ahead and scan this, and you can put your email on the form that is there, and you'll get a copy of this. Okay, so let's get into it. I told you guys the first thing that we have to understand is one of the big barriers with AI. Okay, so if you want to start using AI for CMAs, and to be quite honest, for most things, here's the biggest barrier that I see people where when they even try to get started doing these things, they immediately fall apart. And this is very unique to real estate in my experience, is that there is this misconception that AI should do all of my work for me. Okay. Like I said before, I've done a ton of talks. I talk to agents one-on-one on a regular basis. We build AI products on a regular basis. And I see it all the time where a lot of agents have this idea because they saw their favorite influencer, or they listened to a podcast, or they saw something and they saw this amazing, crazy AI system automate every aspect of somebody's business. And then people think that that's the norm. You think that when you use AI, you should be able to make that happen. So AKA, you think that when you go to ChatGPT, you should be able to make AI do all of your work. And if you can't, you failed at using AI. That is so far from the truth. That is not the way AI is working today, especially for real estate agents. And it's not the expectation you should go into with AI. And I see it happen way too much. So here's exactly what happens. People go in, they decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to start using AI today. I'm inspired. And then you go to ChatGPT, or you go to your favorite AI tool, you start using it, and it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do. And then you decide that you're like, oh, screw this. I hate AI. I'm not going to use it at all. And once again, it's because you went into it with the wrong idea. You went into it with this idea that AI should do all of your work for you. Right off the bat, I promise you, you will have a way better experience with AI, and you will be 10 times more likely that after this presentation to actually go and use AI. If you reframe this idea of AI should do all of my work for me, to AI should do the 20% of work I hate the most. I say this all the time. When I did the Krebs forecast keynote, I said this. It's very important, and it's extremely important when dealing with CMAs. So instead of just having this mindset of I don't want to do work, if you're busy, you know how valuable it is to get even just 20% of your time back. Right? So right off the bat, start by just identifying the 20% of stuff you hate the most, the 20% of things that are the biggest time sink for you that are not moving your mission forward, and see if you can get AI to do that. So that's one approach. So literally, as some of the homework that we had last week is I was like, just take the 20% of things you hate the most and write them out. But when you look at it on an individual AI project, if you can get 20% of that project done using AI, you're already winning. Like most of the time when you have an admin or a VA do something for you anyway, at best, they're still doing like 60 to 70% of your work, and you're still going through and checking it out, except for they cost a full-time salary, or, depending if you're using a VA. So with AI, start getting excited when it does at least 20% of your work for you. It can absolutely do more, and you can get it to do more by becoming better at prompting. You can get it to do more by understanding which tools to use when, where, and how. You can get it to do more by just building that AI intuition that I'm always talking about. But at the end of the day, if you can just get this thing to at least do 20% of your work, you're saving 20% of your time back. Okay. So that's it. That's the one theory thing I'm going to talk about here. Now let's go ahead and just dive right into this. Okay. So the 10-minute CMA, I call it the 10-minute CMA because that's really about as much time as it's going to take you to do these things if you were to do it on your own. And to be clear, you should be able to do this way better than I can because you guys have access to your MLSs. You guys have access to your clients. You guys have access to notes. I don't have any of that. So I was actually working with limited resources and I was still able to put this together. So I'm going to show you the final result. Okay. So what I'm going to show you guys how to do here today, it literally just took two tools. So I used ChatGPT and I used Gamma. I do not have any affiliation with Gamma. I've always been super transparent. The only tool that we represent is realestatecontent.ai. I don't know the people of Gamma. I don't know anything like that. It's just an amazing tool. So check it out. There's a free version too. So those are the only things that you're going to need to do this in about 10 minutes. And this is what it ended up giving me. Okay. So I've got all this here. And once again, to be clear, this was done in 10 minutes. Like this doesn't take a ton of time. And I didn't edit any of this. So I can come in here and edit all the things that I want to edit, right? So for you guys, you're able to come in and make tweaks and do that. But once again, this is going to save you guys a ton of time. So I was able to put all of this together in about 10 minutes. So I'll walk you guys through exactly how I came up and did this. So this is the result. Okay. And what I had to do to get to this is I had to create a prompt. All right. No, this is not mostly for American. This is Canadian. So this particular, like any of this stuff works for Canada. You guys can go ahead and use this however you want. You can use it in Canada or the US. So that was just a question I saw in the chat, by the way. So real quickly, what I want to go ahead and show you is that to come up with this, I had to come up with a prompt. And this is the prompt that I came up with. Okay, so I used ChatGPT. If you guys remember last time, we went over prompting in ChatGPT. Super quick recap. You go to ChatGPT, you open up new chats, and you can have conversations with ChatGPT, right? And you don't have to go through extreme prompt structure or anything like that if you're just having a conversation to do that. Aggie, I'll go ahead and recap everything as I'm going through it, and I'll show you exactly how I built all this up. So we'll go ahead and follow through this. But with ChatGPT, you can have these conversations, but every once in a while, if you want to do something big, AKA do like a full-on CMA, you need to do a big, beefy, structured prompt that makes sense. This is the prompt that I came up with. Okay. It's big, it's long. I will send it to you. So you will have access to this. It'll also be in the email that you receive. But there's a couple things. I've told you guys this from the get-go. Anytime I see these things, all I ever see is people giving you the prompt. So it's like, hey, I've done all the work. I figured out why this prompt works. I dissected it and figured out why it made sense. But nobody explains how that happened because that's where the real value comes from. If I just give you this prompt, which I will, don't worry, that's all you're going to be able to do with it is do CMAs. It's equally as important for me to break down how and why I came up with this so that you can, maybe some of you here are like, I don't care about CMAs. I care way more about finding an email series that will nurture my sphere 2 times a month that's 100% personalized and speaks directly to my audience. That's what you care about. Well, no problem. You can create your own prompt to do that, but this prompt won't help you do that. So it's important for me to explain to you how we came up with this prompt. So real quickly, I want to just go ahead right here and break down what we're doing. So we went through the biggest barrier. I'm showing you the results, which is this 10-minute CMA. So right now, the result is this report that I just showed you. So that's the CMA. And I'm showing you the prompt that I used. So I'm going to walk you guys through this prompt. And then I'm also going to go ahead and show you how I came up with this prompt. Okay. So the prompt goes like this. I'd like you to walk me through this process to create a CMA. Please start one step at a time so that I'm truly guided by you every step of the way. Okay. So you're in charge, and I'd like you to do this collaboratively with you doing most of the work. Below are the instructions you'll give me to generate the CMA. The reason that I went down this hole, and I'll show you guys in a little bit, is because this is a lot of steps. Okay. There are a lot of steps to make a CMA, and really there's no chance that I can just say one thing to AI to get all of this done. So instead I was like, you know what? Let's roll reversal here. Okay. I will be your tool, Mr. ChatGPT. You tell me what you need from me to get this job done. And I figured that was a much better approach than me trying to tell it what I needed it to do, especially because I've never done a CMA before. So Here's what we needed to do to break this down. So I, in this prompt, said step one is to define the CMA structure. So before we generate anything, we need to define what sections your CML will include based on your streamlined, seller-friendly approach. Here's what I recommend. And essentially, it is now giving me and breaking down all of the steps of what we're going to do together to create the CMA. It's going to do this for me, right? I'm telling it to walk me through the steps. So it's going to talk about the sections of the CMA. Then what we're going to do is gather the data, because obviously you need property information to do the CMA. So step two is going to be, let's gather the data. Okay. Step three is going to be, and by the way, in terms of gathering the data, we need to pull the property data. We need to pull market data. So market trends and research, as well as the local data. Okay. So we need to get that. That's obviously something that we need to have in a CMA. We need to get the current listing trends, what's going on, right? So we have to have all of that. We have to identify comparable properties, right? So we have to be able to actually go ahead and say, hey, here are some other properties that are similar. And then we have to work through a pricing strategy, right? So what's the pricing strategy that we want to come up with to help price this listing appropriately? Then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we come up with strategies for selling the home. So what's the marketing strategy? These are all things that you need within a CMA, right? And then finally, I want you to give me a proper CMA document. So a written CMA document in plain text. And then I'm going to show you guys what we'll do after that. Essentially, when it gives me this proper document write-up, so I'm essentially using ChatGPT to do my research. I'm using ChatGPT to structure the sections of my CMA. And then what I realized, and I'll show you how I came to this conclusion, I really wanted ChatGPT to do everything. I wanted to use one tool because I know for you guys, that's what's easiest. I really wanted ChatGPT to do the entire thing, but I couldn't get it to make a beautiful visual design. It wouldn't work. ChatGPT is getting to that point, but I just couldn't get it done. And I used a variety of different tools, which I'll show you. I tried using Claude. I tried using Gemini. I'm going to show you guys how I came to this conclusion. So eventually I was like, okay, you know what? I know that Gamma tool does really amazing presentations. So I was like, look, just give me the written document. And then what I'll do is I'll have to go ahead, take the written document you gave me, throw it into Gamma in terms of being able to actually create the document. And then of course, I went ahead here and said, I'll use realestatecontent.ai to turn this into social posts to help actually market that listing. So I made those decisions to put that in there. But as you can see, this is a prompt. Like this is a beefy prompt. So I'm going to give you guys this prompt, so no stress, but I'll show you how it works because it's actually really cool and I'll do it in real time with you guys. So if you go to ChatGPT and you put this prompt in, let's see what it's going to do. The first thing it does is it says, okay, great, let's kick this off. So don't forget, I've established that, hey, ChatGPT, you're going to guide me through this. So you don't have to know what to do. It's just going to tell you what to do straight up. So look, it says step one, let's define the CMA structure. So before we pull any data, let's make sure we're aligned in the sections of your CMA. So now it is going ahead here and saying, hey, here are the CMA sections that I want to have. And what it does before going to the next step is it says, do you want to modify any of these sections or not? So for you, if you already have a CMA structure or you have an influencer that you follow or you've been taught a certain way to do a CMA, this is where you can come in and be like, hey, you know what? Actually, can you add this section or can you remove this other section? Okay, so you can go ahead and do that. It's asking you what you want it to do. So don't forget, there is no right or wrong ways to use AI. Act like it's a human. Act like it's an employee. Act like it's your boss. Act like anything. Talk to it. If you don't understand what it just asked you to do, if you want it to change something, there's no, oh my God, how do I do this? Like you just tell the thing and it'll guide you through this. So I'm happy with how this is. I'm just going to say, wow, this is great. Thank you. Let's move on to the next step. Fantastic. So that's all I'm saying. Okay. So step two, gather data using AI. So now that we've locked in the structure, I'll let this thing think. So can it pull comparative properties from the MLS? So Aphrodite, that's one of the biggest things that I was saying is that you guys are going to actually be able to do way better than I can with this because all I have access to is things like Zillow. Yes, if you guys have your links, you can drop them in here, but watch, this is why it's important to follow along. Look at what it's asking. Okay. So here's what we need to do. It's literally saying, go ahead. What's the next step? Drop the listing of the property. Okay. So that's the most important thing. So we have to go ahead and put in the listing of the property. It's asking me to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead here and literally grab any Calgary listing. I'm just going to grab anything, but you guys can use your MLS. You can use whatever you want. Let's just go ahead and I'll just grab this one. So I'm using this as an example, but the whole point here is that, once again, if you look at the steps, where did this go? If you look at the steps, right? So we are currently in a step where we are collecting the data. We're giving it the data. It's asking for the data. So I'll be like, okay, here you go. Here's the property listing, right? Then we'll throw that in there. We'll give it a second to do its thing. So now it's searching through this. And as you can see, great, let's proceed to the next step. So step 2 is the subject of the property. So it's gone ahead here and it's looked through this site and it's pulled in all the information for the property. Okay. So once again, I use Zillow just because that's what I have access to. Use whatever link you want. The point that I'm showing you here is there's a couple different things that you can do. So you should do a CMA on listing your client's wait to buy so you know it's priced right. You can do it however you want. The thing to understand here, I'm using a Zillow link. If you guys have a proper listing, if you guys have access to the MLS, if you guys have your own data that you want to put in, go ahead and put it in here. Whatever you want. It's literally telling you what to do. Action for you. Next step, confirm the property details. Is this accurate? That's your job. Is it accurate? It pulled this from the information you put in there. Okay. And then once again, additional information. If you have any extra details or insights about the property, go ahead and put it in. Okay, perfect. So so the information is accurate. Let's move on to the next step. And here it says step 2B, which is step 2B. Okay. I'm literally having a conversation with this. It is telling me what to do and it is telling me how to go about it. Okay. So I can't stress this enough. All you need to do is, if you have your own information, if you have anything, just upload it in here. That's all you would do. When it comes to the thing where it's asking you, hey, I need property info, instead of using a Zillow link, if you don't want to use a Zillow link, upload your own information. That's all you got to do. Okay. So a couple things here that it's doing is now step 2B is pulling in market information, right? So here's what it says. So I just said this information is accurate. Let's move on to the next step, which is step 2B, finding market overview information. Once again, I can't stress this enough. It is telling me what to do. I'm not doing any of this. Okay. It is literally just telling me what to do. I'm giving it information. So it's pulling market data. So to provide a comprehensive analysis, let's delve into the current real estate trends, interest rates, and local market data for Calgary as of March 2025. So here we go. We've got Calgary housing market trends, average home prices. And once again, don't forget, ChatGPT lists all of its links and all of its sources. So you can just click any of this. Okay. So it'll give you the sales activity in February 2025. There were 1,700 residential properties, so on and so forth. The amount of new listings are here, inventory levels. We've got interest rates. It's showing me here that on March 12th, the Bank of Canada reduced its rate. It's showing local market insights. So it's doing all this stuff. Okay. So actions for you, neighborhood insights. Do you have any specific information about the neighborhood or community that could influence the property's value? It is asking you. You are the real estate agent. You probably know more than what's available just online. This is where you would go ahead and put in anything you want to do, right? It's asking you for if there are any other unique aspects of the property that you know about, recent renovations, high energy efficiency installations that should be highlighted in the analysis. This is absolutely where you can go ahead and put this stuff in. Okay. The one thing I will highlight here, there are a lot of questions in the chat right now that are like very strong, like, oh my God, I can't use this link, or, what if the data is old? Guys, 100% you can upload your own information in here. Okay. So I can't stress that enough. I'm giving you guys the easiest example possible. You should be able to do this 10 times better than I can, because either you can copy in your MLS link. If you can't copy in your MLS link, take a screenshot of the MLS information from the page and upload it in here. If you can't do that, I am certain that you have some sort of document that has all of the up-to-date, accurate information about the listing that you can go ahead and upload in here. Right. So that's the biggest thing to really highlight on this, is that we're going to kind of, we're going to go ahead and just massage it. So once again, how do you get AI to pull from a system that requires a login? Good question, Ruby. You either don't, AKA, unless you want to start playing with APIs, which I'm happy to discuss if that's a exciting topic for the next one. If you want to go ahead and do APIs and have all that, then you go ahead and get it to access logins. If you don't want to do that, I would just take screenshots of the information. If ChatGPT is having a hard time accessing any info, just go ahead and screenshot the page and upload it. That way it'll be able to read it. So, okay, so that's what we've got here. It's gone ahead and pulled this in as well as something that I might find interesting. You can say, no, I don't like this video, or you can say, yes, I like it, whatever works for you. Okay. But we're going to move on to the next step. So I've got this stuff here. This is the market overview. This is where I would go ahead and say, hey, listen, I want to go ahead and highlight that Trump's tariffs are going on, and I want you to consider that. Okay. Whatever you want to do, but this is great. So I'll be like, this is great. Let's move on. Can't stress this enough, guys. I've literally pasted one link in here so far, and I just keep saying, let's move on, let's move on, let's move on. It's doing all the work for me. Okay. So you got to understand that. Like, it's very, very important. So now what it's doing, step 2C, is identifying comparable properties. Okay. So it's brought in the subject property. And here, what it's gone ahead and done is it's going to give me, so it's asking, what do we have next? So, yes, let's find comparable properties. And we'll let this thing pull in here. And now we've got it pulling in what it thinks are comparable properties, right? Now you've got options, okay? What do you think these options are? Like anything, you can go ahead and say, I like these comparable properties because AI did it for me and it literally just went ahead and searched the internet. Or I don't like these comparable properties. I don't think they are accurate. I don't think they're good enough. In which case, what would you do? You would just type in your own comparable properties. Either come in here and find the properties that you think are comparable and then go ahead and have it pull it in, or ask it to try again. So what I'll do here for ease, just to show you guys, can you please put this into a table? Just to kind of make it a little bit easier to understand here. And once again, I'm actually mostly doing this just to show you that, like, this isn't like this step after this step after this step after this step. You can really just go ahead and have a conversation with it. So we'll give it a moment to try to put this into a table, and then we'll kind of continue on. So give it just a couple minutes here. I'll go see some of the conversations in the chats. Let's see. So PDF doc. Yeah, we've had the question about a PDF doc many, many times. 100%. Please feel free. You can go ahead and add PDF docs in here, no problem. Okay. So one of the things here, so let me go ahead and pull this up. So can you add the listing links for this? So we'll see if it'll go ahead and actually pull the listing links in here for me. And I want to go ahead in the meantime and show you, because it is being a little bit slow. Let me go ahead here and see if I can, in the meantime, okay, let's go and do Chat GPT. Let's see what I got here. Creation guide, the final prompt. Okay, this is one that we're doing right now. Let's go here, creation guide. Okay, we've got that. Okay, so let's see if this thing keeps on working or if it's going to be slow. Okay, perfect, we're good. We've got the table. And let me see here, living area, and we've got the links. Fantastic. Okay, we got that. Go ahead over here. Triple check, active listings. Okay, here we go. So we'll use this just because it's going through a little bit quicker. So same thing, all through the same steps. Everything's working through here. The only thing I wanted to show you guys is, once again, I asked for the exact same thing. So, hey, can you put the comparables in a table for me? And it actually put in the listing links in here already ready to go. So I find that that's like one of the most important things for me, because for you guys, this step is going to be 10 times easier for you because A, you'll either already know your comparable listings, or B, you guys will be in a scenario where you can just drop in those MLS screenshots, or you'll have access to it. This is AI. I've asked AI to actually come up and pull this together for me. Okay, so that's the biggest thing to understand here is that like I asked it to go search the internet. And as a lot of you are saying, well, how do you know if this listing is accurate? How do you know this? Once again, I keep saying AI should do 20% of your work for you. If all you have to do is go in and verify the information, that is 10 times better than having to do this entire report from scratch, correct? So we've got all that information there. And if we keep going down, the next step is to give us a visual market analysis. So once again, all I'm saying is move on. Like literally all we're doing here is clicking on move on. Okay. There's literally not much that I've had to do outside of what it is telling me to do. So this whole conversation has been a link, right? This whole conversation has been, yes, I agree, or no, I disagree with what you're saying. This whole conversation has been, hey, can you maybe add a little bit more information here and there? Okay. And it's just walking me through the entire thing. And that's why I really like this prompt, because you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to be like, oh, what did I say that first time? It knows what to do. It knows you want a CMA document, and that's what it's going to be working through. So we've got this table that it's given us. Okay, great. Let's move on. As we continue here, it's now saying step 3. Now that we have the subject property, right? We have the property details, we have the market trends, and we have the comparables. It's time to create visual representations. Okay, great. Fantastic. So it goes here and it starts making these like ugly charts. So I've got these charts. They're ugly. I don't love them, but I need them. Okay, so it's important. It's good information. It's trying to give me a chart here that's like, what's this one? So this is the market trend chart. You know, it's showing average home prices and then days on market. It's showing the price per square foot comparison with the properties. It is showing the pricing strategy. It's doing all these different types of things. Okay, so here's the thing to understand. As with anything, okay, if you don't like these charts, if you don't agree with these charts, if there's anything you want to change, all you do is say, hey, I don't like this. It is a conversation. And the one biggest thing I'm trying to show you guys here is that that's what this is. This is one prompt from the top, and it all just becomes a conversation. If you can just clearly tell ChatGPT what you want to do and how you want to accomplish it, it will walk you through everything. It is completely foolproof. Okay. It's just, I see a lot of people kind of throw their hands in the air and be like, oh, well, you know, it didn't pull this one thing or it didn't pull that one thing and so on and so forth. So once again, you will have no success with AI if you aren't willing to allow AI to teach you how to do these things. Okay. So just something to consider. All right. I'm going to keep going through this because I've already used up a ton of time as per usual, but it's important. I think it's really good. I'm going to show you how to do this. So essentially it's giving me the next steps. So we've done all this. What's the next steps? It's giving me the next steps. I don't have to tell it the next steps. It's giving me the next steps. Let's come up with your pricing strategy. So my task, it says your task. Do you want to keep this price, this list price, or do you want to adjust it based on the data? Or would you like a custom pricing recommendations based on the market? So I say I'd like a custom pricing recommendation. So now it goes down this big rabbit hole of like custom pricing for this property. Okay, based on the market research, based on the comparable data, based on the square foot, here's what we'd recommend. You've got aggressive, you've got market optimized, and you've got max market price. And it's giving you pros and cons as to why you'd be using or looking to do this. Okay. So once again, then it gives you a final recommendation and it asks you, would you like to move forward with this pricing or do you prefer a different strategy? Guess what? If you don't like it, go back and say, hey, you know what? I want to use a different pricing strategy. No problem. So the final thing is using the marketing strategy. So literally it is like, hey, listen, what's your marketing strategy for this? And it essentially goes ahead and describes to you a bunch of different marketing opportunities. Now, once again, if you guys already have this, if you already know what your value prop is, if you've already come up with what your marketing strategy is, it's saying here, you can go ahead and put that information in there if you want to do that. And I'd highly recommend you do that if you have information that you already have. But for some of you, you're still trying to figure this out or coming up with your marketing strategy takes time. It's really cool to kind of just be able to use this. And once again, you can just go ahead and tweak this however you want. So, you know, core marketing strategy, custom tailored approach for this property, you know, all this. What's the hook? It's giving you a hook. We're going to emphasize the 3-bed, 3-bath layout with 2,000 square feet. We're going to emphasize the neighborhood. We're going to emphasize that it's turnkey and that we're doing competitive pricing. So it's doing all this. Okay. Once again, your task. Do you want to adjust anything or are we good to go? And I say we are good to go. Okay. This is great. Let's move on to step 6. And then it gives me my final document. So look, I got to highlight a couple things here and I'm going to show you the next steps. what I wanted this thing to do is I wanted it to go ahead and give me this full breakdown. I wanted it to do all this research for me. And guys, just to be clear, this is a 10-minute thing. I'm breaking it down for you, but look at all the conversations I had with it. I gave it this. Okay, one. That's what I said to it. Then what did I say? I like this. Then I gave it the link. Then I said, this is great. Let's move on. Then I said, can you add the links to the comparables? Then I said, make the comparable for the comparables. Can you put the selected ones into a table? This is great. Let's move on. I'd like a custom pricing recommendation. Yes, I'd like this. I wrote less than like 500 words and AI did all of the talking, like all of this. Look at all of its conversation versus mine. It did all of the work for me. Okay. So once again, like it's so important to understand that you can give this thing minimal instruction and get so much out of it if you properly put the prompt together, which I am going to give you guys, by the way. So once again, the final thing that I got here was this report. This is what I care about the most. This report is what I got. Okay. And it's very basic, but once again, it's structured, it's clean, it's easy. I can do something with it. So this is what it wants to give me as my market report. But this isn't good enough, right? Like there's an issue. I can't show this to a client. It's not beautiful. It should be a presentation. Okay, well, how can I get AI to do that? I tried to get Chat GPT to do something visual, and I'll show you how I tried to do that after, but I couldn't. I couldn't get Chat GPT to do it. There's something called Operator, which will do it, and it does it quite well, but Operator is $200 a month, so I'm not going to saddle you guys with showing you Operator because I don't necessarily think you guys need to pay for that. So I'll show you what I did. So essentially I use this as my baseline. Okay. So this is what I have here. I have a write-up. It's very basic. I have a write-up. Okay. But this is where I can now go to Gamma. So if I go here, okay, and now I go to Gamma, Gamma does presentations. That's what Gamma does. Okay. So it's very simple. You can go, once again, to be clear, you'll see this all the time. When you see people using AI, you'll very often, if they have to use multiple AI tools, they will get Chat GPT to do the writing, do the brainstorming, do the frameworking, and then they'll take what Chat GPT gives them and they'll bring it over to another tool. So to turn all of this information that I'm happy with, right? Because I worked back and forth, I had a chat with it. It was my assistant, even though it was telling me what to do, which you got to think about that for a moment. But essentially, I told it what I wanted. I worked back and forth with it, had a conversation. I followed its instructions, completely bulletproof. I gave it feedback if I didn't like something, so on and so forth. Now that I'm happy with what I have, I'm going to go to this thing called Gamma. And you can do, there's other things other than Gamma. You can go to any present, there's something called like Durable. There's a bunch of different ones. I just wanted to keep things as simple and easy for you guys as possible. I showed Gamma along with realestatecontent.ai last time. I figured I would just stick with it again this time because it's easy. So look, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to paste in text. Okay. And I'm going to paste in the CMA report that ChatGPT did for me. Okay. So I'm just copying this in. And then I'm going to go over here and click continue. And then I'm just going to do a couple super quick things here. Web search. We're good. Okay. Everything's good. Super simple. I'm going to click continue. And then you get to choose your template. So like you can kind of give it an idea of like, oh, hey, you know, I really like this vibe or I like that vibe. So I'm going to kind of keep walking through here and look and find one that I like. I know that this looks clean. I want it to be easy. But once again, if you have colors, if you guys have branding, or if you guys have anything like that at all, you can go ahead and do this. And then all I'm going to do is click generate. Okay. So you click generate and we will go and see what happens. So this is AI doing what AI does. All right. So we've got a comparison market analysis for this. So let's go ahead and go here. We'll go ahead and pull this up, bring this listing back up. So was it Tuscora? So I'll let this thing come up first. So it's taking all the information that I went ahead and put into that report. And now it's actually putting it into a presentation for me. Okay. So we'll let it do its thing because it's actually just cool to watch. So literally, this is happening right now. It's doing its thing. And I'll show you what the next steps are in a moment. But I genuinely enjoy watching this. And once again, I can't stress this enough. I'm going through this over the course of an hour with you guys. But with access to your guys' MLS info, whether it's through screenshots, whether it's through links, and anything, you would have all this done in 10 minutes, like literally done in 10 minutes. And now the $1 million question I have some agents who are like, oh my God, the images aren't perfect. These aren't the images. And then they're like, this is stupid. I'm not going to use it. And I just laugh so hard because I'm like, this thing did 70% of a presentation for you and the images are off. So you don't like it. Guys, this is how easy it is. So I'm going to pull the listing back up. If you don't like the images, there's no issues. I'm going to pull the listing back up. This is the image. I'm going to click copy image address. I'm going to take it back over here. I'm going to click on this. Give me a second. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to swap out the image. Now, once again, to be clear, I'm using Gamma to switch the images. This is more of a symbolic thing that I'm trying to say. Guys, this thing just did so much work for you. If there's an issue that requires you to go in there and make a minor tweak, guess what? Go in there and make the minor tweak. You still saved a bunch of your time. Now it's the proper image. Another example, once again, I can't stress this enough. So here, same thing. I don't like this image. It's not the actual property. No problem. Let's go ahead and grab this image. Okay. Let's just go ahead and grab this. Copy image address. Go here. Swap the image. Very simple. And once again, this is the same with anything. It's not just about doing it with Gamma. It is just anywhere. If you don't like that it says property specs, you're like, no, the specs are stupid. Maybe you wanted to say property features. Okay, no problem. Oops, why am I struggling right now? Need AI to do this for me. Property features, okay? Giving you guys examples. Here's another cool one, right? AI, look at this. I don't like, okay, first of all, let's get rid of this, okay? I want a table. I don't like that it's address, price, bed, bath. I want it to be the other way around. So one of the beautiful things with AI is go in here and let's just go ahead. You can regenerate things with AI. So let's go ahead and see, can you swap the columns and rows? I'd like the addresses to be the columns and the, what is it? Price, what was it? Square footage? What does it say? Price, price, bed, bath, square footage, etc. to be the rows. Let's just see what happens. Perfect. Look, it literally switched that for me. I didn't touch anything. Okay. So just giving you guys examples of how you guys can do this and mess around with it. That's what's up. Okay. So it's pretty sweet. This is an example of one AI tool. Okay. This is an example of how you can use ChatGPT to give you what you need to make other AI tools work well. All right. And then, of course, finally, I'll give you the final example. So if you guys go look at Gamma, you're in a scenario where you've got your marketing strategy, you've got all of that stuff. And one of the things is social media. So you're going to help people market this on social media, correct? Well, let's go ahead here and use another tool. So as you guys know, this is our tool. So realestatecontent.ai. I'll give you guys a quick example once again of how this can help you with your CMA. Instead of actually now attaching the social media content to the presentation or doing that, you can just go ahead here and instead of having to remake social posts, take the property, throw it in here, and then AI does this exact same thing. This is very similar to Gamma, except for this is with social media. So it's going to turn this post into a social media post for you. So once again, like you can really see how if you just take the time to go through these things, it'll break it all down for you. So here's what I'm going to do, a couple things. So let this thing load for 2 seconds. I want to show this to you. I'm going to put the link in there again. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in for you guys because I know a lot of people are asking for the presentation. A lot of people are asking for the prompt. I'm going to show all of that. So put the link in here, put your email in there. You will get a copy of that. So one thing, once again, so if you guys are looking at AI, it pulled in all the information here for you, as well as your images, the listing description, all of that stuff. And then all you got to do is click next, choose your template, right? So, hey, you're getting ready to list this. Okay, let's just go ahead and choose this. And you can go ahead and create your social media post. So once again, This is just examples of how you can use AI tools to do essentially a good chunk of your work for you. All right. So that's that. I'm going to flip back here in 1 second. And once again, here you go. So you've got it. You've got your just listed post. Once again, this is something you can show to your client to be like, hey, listen, here's how we're going to market your open house. And you can put it as part of your CMA report and go from there. It's already got all this ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here real quick. So I'm hanging around. Okay. I got some more stuff I want to show you because I want to show you guys how I actually built this prompt, the logic on it. So if you guys just want to learn how to do a CMA, no problem. Put your email in here. Okay. You will get a copy of the slides. You'll also get a copy of the prompt, and you'll be good to go. So that's that. I'm going to hang around a little bit longer if you guys want to see how I actually built out the prompt to figure out how to do this. Like, why did I decide to have ChatGPT guide me through it? Guys, do not put your emails in the chat. You can if you want, but we're not reaching out to you in the emails in the chat. All you need to do is click the link that Irma gave you or scan this code and you will be able to get it. So you're good there. Okay. So the cost of all the tools combined, you'll need like Chat GPT. You'll need Chat GPT, which is going to cost you, it's anywhere from free to $20 a month. Gamma is going to be, I want to say it's $96. And then you've got realestatecontent.ai at 99. So you can put all those together and do it however you want. I'm fairly certain there's free versions across the board. So you don't actually have to worry about it. But the one thing that I will always say when it comes to AI, just get ChatGPT Plus. Like, it's $20. It's so much better than anything. Like, you guys are good to go. Like, I would not stress out about that whatsoever. It's not expensive. Like, it's absolutely worth it. So yeah. So I'm going to stay on. Okay. So a couple things, because there's a bunch of things I want to break down here. So for those of you that have to run, don't forget you are going to get an email with this. No stress, no worries. But I know there's a lot of questions. So I'm going to start answering a couple of these. But I do want to break down how this all started. Okay. Because I think it's really important to understand how I came up with this in the first place, because it's the most basic thing that I think you'll get a lot of value out of. And once again, it's not just about the CMA. Okay. It's not just about that. It's about having AI do anything for you. That's where the magic comes in. Having AI do anything for you starts by understanding that it's a conversation. You go back and forth with it. If something didn't come out the way you wanted it, it's not that AI sucks. It's not that you suck. It's that you're not willing to have a conversation to tell it what you want it to do. But where do you start from scratch? Okay. This is literally how I came up with the way to do a CMA. Okay. So I came in, I checked the reviews and the stuff from the previous webinar, and CMAs were the number one thing. So actually, one thing I want to highlight too, please fill out these surveys. It helps me a lot. So first of all, understanding, did you guys like it? Did you guys get value? Was it worth your time? What do I need to do better? What are the things you want to learn about? But the most important part is put in what you want to do for the third session. We have one more session coming up next month. So we'll send up follow-up details about that session. And I'd love to take you guys even a step further. So like how to integrate some of these things. Some of you were talking about how to get past some of you were talking about how to get past logins, things like that. That's more advanced, but we can go over that stuff if you want in the next session. So please fill out the survey, and we'll go over what the next things are. So one of the biggest things here is, how did I come up with this? Personally, I think this is the most valuable part of the session, but I'll let you guys decide that, because if you learn how I did this, you can do it for anything. But look, I didn't know how to do a CMA. I'm not a real estate agent. I just build AI products. So when I came in here, I tried a bunch of different things, couldn't get it to work. I had these preconceived notions of I thought how I was going to do it. Here's all I said. Okay, if I want to build a beautiful CMA from scratch using only AI, where would I start and what would I do? Walk me through it step by step. I'll try to do the actions that you say, but if I run into roadblocks, you'll have to help me find alternatives. I'd like you, Claude, Gemini, or Grok to do most of the work, but I'll fill in where I have to. Templates and plain text won't be enough to complete this project. I need a visually appealing presentation using real world data for this task to be complete. Okay, guys, this is the holy grail. This is it. This is everything. This is all you need. You don't need to know how to do things anymore. And this is where the future of AI is going. And it's so simple. It's so basic. And it's so it's rough because so many people are still so intimidated by it. You don't have to know what you're doing. Just come in here and tell it to tell you what to do. That's exactly what I did. So essentially, it started giving me all these things. Step one, define your CMA structure. Remember that prompt, the final prompt that I started with, this prompt that I now have here, which I'm going to share with you guys. So don't worry, do not freak out. You are getting a copy of this. If you put your email in, you will get a copy of this prompt so that you can use it for the CMA. But the whole thing to understand here is that like this whole prompt came from me originally asking this question and then working through it to figure out what works. Okay. My understanding is that Krebs probably has some sort of discount pricing for some of these products potentially. We have a relationship with Krebs for realestatecontent.ai, so you do get a discount on realestatecontent.ai, but I can't speak to Gamma or ChatGPT, so maybe something to ask. So with that being said, it's now walking me through, okay, before we get started on anything, we need to define your CMA sections. Okay, so it's giving me a breakdown of all the things we need to do, similar to what we talked about earlier. Step one, define the structure. Step two, gather the data. Step three, generate the visually appealing presentation. Step four, all do this. And then step five is test and refine. So literally, what am I going to say to this? Like, this is the first time I tried this. This is the real conversation, by the way, I had to build this entire thing. So like, this isn't like, this is straight up the way I had to go through it. It seemed good to me. Like it looked good. I'm like, this is fantastic. Great. Let's give it a shot. So let's start walking through it. So it says, okay, cool. First thing we'll do is pull the information, right? So I'm like, all right, no problem. Let's go ahead and do it. It says, give me a Zillow or a Realtor link. I just followed its instructions. I give it a Zillow link and great. It starts to pull in the property listing. It starts to do all this information and it does all this. So I'm like, okay, this works really, really well. This is similar, by the way, this is actually pretty similar to the first prompt, the final prompt that I showed you, but you'll see where I ran into issues. And once again, issues are frustrating. Most people give up, but just, you don't give up on these issues. You just keep working through them. So I'll show you guys real quick. So essentially I'm like, okay, cool. This sounds really good. So I'm like, let's move on to 2B. The reason I said let's move on to 2B is because, you know, it said 2B after 2A, pull the property data, 2B. Okay, cool. So I move on to 2B, which is it's pulling market research. So it pulls a bunch of market research that I look because I can click on these links to see where it pulled this data from. And it all looks good and it all looks accurate to me. It gives me a bunch of references, a bunch of sources, all of that. And then I ask it, I'm like, yo, you know the job. Like, you know what we're trying to do. I'm like, is this enough information for you? Just, I'm curious. Like you researched it. You did all the work. Is this enough for you to get the job done? And it says, yes. It's like, hey, we have a bunch of this information covered. Let's move on to step C. So it goes to step C where it's like, we need to find comparable properties. It asks me, how do I want to find the comps? Either I can provide links or option two is it can provide links. I'm like, this is like amazing for me right now, by the way. I'm like, this is like, I haven't done anything yet. And I'm like, this thing is building out a CMA or telling me what to do next. So I'm like, I want you to come up with the comparables. So it does that. It gives me all of these comparables. Now, I'm not a real estate agent and I'm not a professional in the space, but I did kind of have this intuition. Here's what I said. I'm like, I like that you pulled a lot of properties to compare. We should always start by casting a wide net, but I heard clients prefer a less is more approach. Should we reduce the comparable properties and focus specifically on the ones that are the best comparable match? You know what I mean? Like that kind of seemed like it made the most sense to me. And then guess what? It went ahead and did exactly that. So the main takeaway here, to be honest, is if you don't like something, tell it you don't like it and it'll correct itself. So keep going through this. And now it's going on to moving to the visual charts. Okay, now this one's really interesting. Okay, so I will go ahead and say this. So it starts giving me these charts. And this is where I knew I was going to run into the biggest problem is that obviously a CMA that is just a bunch of written information is not going to be really sexy or appealing for any, it's not going to be really sexy or appealing for any clients. So I wanted to make sure to work through and make sure that part of this entire process for you guys had a visually appealing thing. So I was working through ChatGPT. It's doing all this, by the way. Don't forget, I didn't come in here and say, I need this particular table with this x-axis and y-axis, and I need this type of graph. It's just doing it, right? So it's doing all of this stuff where it's giving me these sort of tables, and then it works through and says, let's work on your pricing strategy. I say, yes, I'd love for you to recommend a pricing strategy. The one thing that I didn't like about it was that it just told me what the price was going to be. So I'm like, first, can we agree on a pricing strategy together? Do you mind explaining to me why your strategy will be most effective? So it goes down and it breaks down all of the reasons as to why it thinks it has a really effective pricing strategy. And the number one thing here is that I like this step now. This is something that I gave it guidance on. So as we do this moving forward, what I say is this: okay, I agree. I actually like this step. Can we make sure that as we build out a repeatable template for this, we add a step where you list out the reasoning behind the pricing strategies? Because look, I don't want to have to come in here every single time and think from scratch as to whether or not this is going to work. I need to now have a prompt that can just get me to put in my listings, put in the comparables, or let it search and do it quick. So as I'm working through how I'm going to do this, I'm also trying to get it to take notes of what we like and what's working. So that way, at the end of it, I can just say, hey, great, we did an amazing project together. This was awesome. Now, if I wanted to do this again in the exact same way, can you write me a prompt, or can you write me something that'll allow us to go ahead and do this? So a couple quick things. I know people are starting to drop off. Totally fine. Like I said, this is all extra hour stuff. Couple things I want to quickly recap one more time. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in here just so you guys have the email. I have a couple more things I'm going to cover with you guys. I want to show you Claude real quick. But once again, you don't have to stay for this. If Claude or any of those are things that you're interested in down the line, once again, I'm going to kind of show you guys an idea. One of the things is like, how do we improve this, right? Because how can we make it better? We can get better property information. We can add branding and images, things like that we'll keep going through. But do not worry about that. We'll go over it and you'll have access to the slides. So you'll be good to go. The one thing I will highlight as well is, if you remember, so once again, we do realestatecontent.ai. So it's kind of like where Gamma is for presentations. Realestatecontent.ai is for social media. So I am going to be holding a follow-up webinar to this. It is not the Kreb May webinar. That is still happening. And we are going full steam ahead with a variety of different AI tools and a variety of use cases. But if anybody here likes what I talk about and just wants to hear me talk a little bit more about AI specifically around social media, I'm going to send you guys will get also in your follow-up. We're going to be holding a follow-up session. I believe it's going to be on Tuesday, where we do a deep dive on realestatecontent.ai, specifically how you can use it for your social media. So essentially, it's going to act as a social media assistant for you. And we're going to do a whole separate thing on that that's outside of this, because when we do these ones with Kreb, I want to talk about all the tools. I want to talk about all the strategies. I want to talk about the things that you want to talk about. But I do know that there are a lot of people who are very interested specifically in social media. So I will host a private session for those of you. You do have to register for that. It'll go into your inbox, no worries. But if you want to talk about social media, AI, and realestatecontent.ai, come on to that. We'll do a full other session. Okay. So that's the thing that we got there. So is this okay? A couple quick things. Amelia, glad you're really enjoying realestatecontent.ai. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I do know, I think Scott, okay, so what is your best practice for doing adjustments on comparables to subject property? Prompts on the comparables. I mean, it just depends what you're asking for, right? Like if you get back comparables that you think are completely off the mark, let's say you're like, these don't even make any sense. I would start by asking why. I'll be like, hey, why did you give me these comparables? They're not really that accurate. And it might come back and say a couple things. It might be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was focusing on location. I wasn't focusing on price. Or maybe it'll come back and then you can just say, okay, well, I need you to focus on all of the metrics. I need you to focus on neighborhood. I need you to focus on price. And I need you to focus on, I don't know, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, whatever. So you can just kind of go back and forth there. Another thing it might come back and tell you is this idea that it can't access anything. Maybe it's saying, hey, listen, these are the only things I could find available online, in which case, well, now you can make the decision as to whether you want to give it access to your MLS info. Once again, there's some clever ways that you can kind of figure out how to get it access to your MLS info. So once again, you can take screenshots. That's always a great way to do it. Things like that. So I would just, in terms of refining. So Scott, to be honest, man, like if you ever want like more specifics on this, just reach out to me anytime. I can kind of like, that's a very specific question. And it's a good one. So I can like dive into that a little bit more and we can kind of go back and forth on it. But yeah. And then one more thing, Robert, and then I'll keep going on this because I want to get some more stuff here. But do you create the template at the end and save it in ChatGPT for later use? Where does it get saved? This is the $1 million question. Okay, I love this. In terms of where can we reach you at? Once again, you'll get an email. If you put your name in there, you'll get an email. It has my email in it. So just send me an email back. Honestly, ask whatever questions you want. You can also add me on Instagram if you want to. So dark Marc _. Um, Pretty straightforward. So DARKMARC_, add me there and can be happy to follow along. Guys, I am going to go through these questions as well. So don't stress or anything. I'm going to walk through some of this stuff. Okay. But I want to kind of just walk you through a couple of things. The biggest thing I want to show you is this. Okay. It gave me the pricing strategy. It did all that type of stuff. Here's the main thing. I'll cut to the chase for you. Long story short, it eventually gave me the presentation that I wanted. Okay. It gave me this, which is what I showed you guys earlier. Okay. So it didn't take long for me to get to the presentation. But the biggest thing for me was that I really wanted photos. I really wanted branding. I really wanted all of this stuff. And I really wanted it to be within Chat GPT or one of the chat systems. And so it couldn't do it with Chat GPT. No matter how hard I tried giving it examples of images that I wanted it to do. So if you look at it, and it just bombed it every time. It tried giving me a PowerPoint presentation. So literally it gave me a PowerPoint presentation. And once again, this is what it looked like. So the PowerPoint presentation looked like, what's the best example? And guys, by the way, I know I'm actually rushing through this now at this point to give you guys the gist of it. But you'll still have access to all of this, so don't stress. But long story short, it gave me a PowerPoint presentation, and this is all just through conversation. I'm like, hey, look, like it's ugly. Well, I need you to do something better. The code, I can't even download it anymore. I'll have to pull it up for you guys after the fact. Long story short, the PowerPoint presentation was ugly. It was exactly what you would expect ChatGPT to give you as a PowerPoint presentation, which is like slides with text. So I'm like, that's not good enough. So then what I did is I decided that I would use something called Claude. Okay. And I want to show you this for a minute, just because whether you've used Claude or not, I just want to give you guys a quick little kind of recap of how this is. Claude is a competitor to Chat GPT, but it does a better job of doing like coding type things. Okay. I can't code. I got to be super clear on this. I don't expect you guys to use Claude. I'm just walking you through my thought process to show you that, like, guys, I didn't wake up the day after that you guys told me you wanted to do CMAs knowing how to do CMAs. Okay. I just started tinkering around with it, and I was able to come up to this thing that between these two tools, I was able to do like a 10-minute CMA. And once again, if I turned that 10-minute CMA into a 15-minute CMA, I could make it 100 times better because I would add my own real estate data and all that type of stuff. But what I want to show you here, I just want to show you this because it's actually cool. And I hope it inspires some of you to start playing around with this a little bit more. But Claude is very much known for, let me go ahead and grab this. Oops. So Claude is very much known for its coding abilities. Okay. So once again, I can't code. I don't know how code works. I'm not good at it. I don't pretend to be good at it. None of that. Let me go to the previous chat here. There it is. Okay. So essentially, is this the same one? It is. Okay. So essentially, I'm just going to copy this. I'll explain this in a second because I know it's a lot of text. Don't worry. So I'm going to start a new chat. So here's what I said. Okay, I went to Claude, and let me just go ahead. Don't worry. I know this is messy. I'll explain it in 2 seconds. Okay. So what I just did is I just took that the market report that ChatGPT gave me, right? So remember, it gave me the written description, but I was still stuck because I'm like, oh man, like I have the written description. It's got the information. I'm happy with the information, but I need to make this look pretty. Like that's the most important part. Like I don't want to give you guys, hey guys, here's a Word doc with all this information. Yeah, sure, it's somewhat helpful, but like that's like doing 20% of the work. Remember we talked about how if you just take time, it can do more than 20% of the work. I wanted to show you guys an actual presentation. So I thought maybe Claude could pull it off. I don't know. But what I said was this is like, hey, can you use your technical ability to turn this into an aesthetically pleasing comparative market report using modern and sleek visuals and infographics? I have no idea what to expect. And then all I did was copy in that final document that it gave me. And then Imran, I know, so you're looking for the information on the third session. Maybe Jacqueline, if you don't mind dropping in the information for the third session so everyone come up. And once again, guys, that's going to be our most advanced session where I want to leave you guys with like an integration of some sort. So please fill out the feedback because I will go ahead and build on that. Now, once again, there are people here, like I got messages about it last time and I got messages part of this one who are getting a ton of value out of this because they followed along last time. They did the homework. Don't forget, I had homework for you. Use AI 15 minutes a day or 1 hour a week, and you're able to follow along with what I'm doing here fairly quickly. If you're just kind of hemming and hawing and you're like, picking it up here, it's going to be advanced. I'm going to be moving fast. I totally understand that. But that's why I'm giving you the recording. And that's why I'm making myself 100% available too, because I'll walk you guys through this stuff if you guys need help with it. But the next one's going to be even more advanced. It doesn't necessarily have to be from like a complexity standpoint or anything, but I do want to make it so that the people that are really getting a lot out of this, we're going to keep pushing it forward. I want you using more of this in your business. I want you teaching yourself, your team, your employees, your admins, your VAs, how to use AI to solve their problems. Once again, I hadn't used Claude in a long time. I didn't know what it could do. I just came in here and said, hey, give it a shot. So watch this. It's actually kind of cool. It didn't end up working, but it doesn't matter because watch. So when you go to Claude and I click enter on this, check out what's going to happen. It starts coding up all of this stuff. No idea what any of this means. I have no idea what any of this means. Okay. If you're a developer, you probably have an understanding of it, but it's trying to do what I said. It's like, okay, can I use my technical ability to turn this information into a comparative market analysis? Okay. So instead of just coming here and just giving me a bunch of text back, it is going in and trying to create something. Okay. And I had a lot of high hopes. I was like really like optimistic for it. And it does kind of like a cool job, but it's not there yet. It's definitely nothing you guys would use. And it's definitely nothing that you would want to show to a client. But once again, imagine where we're going to be in 6 months. So to me, it's important to be playing around with these things to see how they work and what they do. And what's going on. Like, guys, this is like game changing, right? Like this is stuff that we never would have been able to do before. And once again, we found an easier way to do it, but I didn't know the easier way to do it before coming down this rabbit hole. So just know that like, this is where things are going. It's not intimidating. Okay. And I'll explain why. You don't have to know all this code. That's the whole point. You don't have to understand this. So for those of you that were at Krebs Forecast, I kind of have these rules about AI. One of them is that people think that AI should do all of their work when really it should do 20% of work you hate the most. Another rule about AI, is that I feel like people need to stop having this idea that they have to understand AI to use AI, because you'll never understand AI. It's the whole point. You don't need to understand it to use it. You just got to use it. That's one of the things. So actually here, look, like this is what it gave me. Like, it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, all things considered, and once again, to be clear, I'm not suggesting that you use this, but I'm just showing you the process that I went through. Like, we build AI products left, right, and center, and people think that we have this amazing technical ability and all this. And like, we built an amazing product and we've built amazing AI products, but it's just because we come in here and tinker with it. And my biggest thing to leave with you guys is I don't want to leave you guys with a CMA prompt. And then congratulations, you can do a CMA. That's great. That's not what AI is for. AI is to teach you how to do an amazing CMA. It's to teach you how to make your business better. It's to do a lot of that work for you. It's to teach you how to do your emails. It's to teach you how to do all of it. And this mentality is exactly how it's easy for me to come up and say, hey, great, here's a CMA. And imagine if I had more time to spend on it. Like if it was my job to do CMAs, I could spend so much time being like, how do I make it better? How do I make it better? How do I make it better? But for me, it's like, I just want to show you guys that this is the important part. So I have failed you if stock picks. Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge thing going on right now with this thing called Manus with stock picks. But look, I have failed you guys if the only thing you get out of this is like, hey, let me use that CMA prompt to do my CMAs. If you get value out of that, good. That makes me happy. But if that's what you took away outside of, damn, okay, he just like literally got AI to teach him how to do that and walked through the steps. And then when he ran into barriers, he asked AI for alternatives and then eventually landed on something that worked and then told AI, remember how we did this and give it to me in a prompt so I can do it again. That's the real magic. So anyway, but if you, like I said, just looking at Claude here, you can go publish, okay, and click publish and copy. And it like literally created like a live thing for you. I just like showing this because once again, it's just like, it's wild that this is where we're at. So once again, I don't think you would use this, right? We have Gamma, but guys, I also just took 5 minutes to get ChatGPT to write me up a prompt. Then I brought this over to Claude and I tossed this. I didn't even tell Claude to do anything else other than turn this into a visual thing. Like, and it's like live, like you can click on it. It's crazy. Marketing plan, all this. So just like imagine where this is going to be in 6 months. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. The only reason I'm showing you this, guys, by the way, I'm not trying to overwhelm you. I'm not trying to go too fast. I just wanted to have a whole section, and I have this all linked here. Okay. I just wanted to have a whole section that showed you my workflow and my thought process on creating this. Don't forget, this crash course, level 1 is the basics, understanding how to prompt. Level 2 is using AI. It's not just about CMAs, it's about how to actually use it. And in my opinion, me showing you this is much more important than showing you the final CMA. But of course, I know it's got to be relevant for you guys, and that's what's up. So I'm going to start answering some questions. Okay. A couple quick things. Okay. Real quickly, please, I'm going to put it there one more time. Everybody always forgets this. I'm only putting this in here because I know I'm going to get a million questions. And there's a scale of things you're going to get with this. You are going to get the slides, which is fantastic. So if you want the slides, if you want the prompts, if you want the links, please go ahead and just scan this. Do not put your email in the chat. We're not emailing you guys. Scan this and we'll send it to you. You can also use Irma's link. You'll also get my direct email. So if you guys want to chat and geek out more, you guys know, I know there's some people that were here last time. I could talk your ear off about your specific AI questions. I have no problem doing that. I genuinely enjoy it. I am happy to do it. So if you guys want to go through those conversations, I'll happily do that with you. And then also I will, you'll also get the recording of this. So you're good to go. And then you'll also get the notification for the supplemental session that I'll get out. So by the way, if you didn't get anything, please check your junk mail. So that's an important part. Go ahead and check your junk mail if you did not get anything. And there's a good chance that it probably ended up in there because, as we all know, Google and Outlook and all these things are just getting super intense when it comes to their email filters. So go ahead and do that. We'll get that for you. And to be honest, if you didn't get it, just send us an email and I'll be more than happy. So, okay, let me go through your questions because I know that's probably the most important thing. There's a ton of great questions, by the way, that I saw in here. So I'm going to start going through some of these. Toss them in there if you want. I don't think I can unmute you guys. Otherwise, I would just say like speak it out. But
I can
yeah.
actually.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
I can unmute specific people if you say their name, I will look for them.
Yeah, why don't we start with that? So look, I'm gonna go walk back up through some of the questions, but if you're like, yo, I have this really crazy question, just like throw your name down there and we'll unmute you and we can start asking some AI questions and just kind of diving a little bit deeper. So I will start going up in the meantime. Maybe Irma, also, if you see some people that are coming in new, let's go ahead and call them out first. And then we'll go. Okay, so is the gamma result repeatable or does it change the way it looks every time? You can have it be repeatable just by going ahead and choosing the template. Now, the information will be different, right? Based on the property and the comparables and things like that. However, you can go ahead and set it to be the same. So, Yvette, would you be able to use these prompts for a newsletter as well? Great question. I got to answer that very carefully. You can use prompts, of course, AI. You can do this exact same process to do your newsletters. You wouldn't use the exact same prompt because obviously the prompt that I showed you is for a comparative market analysis. But what I would do, Yvette, is I would go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to come up with a really compelling newsletter. Can you walk me through the steps of what you need me to do to make this work? That, in my opinion, is, oh, did I actually, oh, hey, Sam, great. There you go. The listing that we used is actually yours. So that's funny, completely unplanned, but I'm glad that worked. Happy to send you the gamma thing if you want after that, but you get the idea. That's kind of cool. That worked out well. I figured I wanted to do Calgary because it'd be more relevant for you guys. So real quick, look, one thing I'll give you guys advice on. I see a lot of people struggle by just like raw dog and chat GPT and saying, hey, do this for me. And you get really bad outputs. What's better is ask ChatGPT to walk you through the process of doing that thing, because then it'll ask you for all the information instead of just saying, hey, listen, I want a newsletter. Give me a newsletter. You might not know that, hey, well, listen, like, who are we talking to? Who's your audience, right? What's the topic? What are the nuances and perspectives of that topic? What's the writing style that is going to best resonate with your audience? All these things ChatGPT knows, and it's better to just ask ChatGPT to walk you through the process of setting that up than it is just to go in there and say, hey, go ahead and do this. So that's one thing. Okay. So you've got that. So there's that there. A couple other things. Let me go back and see if anybody's got questions. Please just like toss them in there now. Now's the time where I'm in the chat right now looking at it, so I can easily go up to the more relevant or newer ones. Let's see here. I take the emoji out of Claude. Yes, emojis. Yeah, Renee. Claude does not like emojis. Actually, yes, you're completely right about that. One thing I guess I could show you guys too is I gave you guys examples here of like once again. So some people are going to be like, oh, it's not good enough. Like if I even like I'll use real estate. Actually, I'll just use real estate content.ai as an example here. So like, you got to a point where it's like it turned that listing description. I'm guessing this is Sam's listing description into a social media post, right? So it did that with just the URL. You can come in here, change the template, do whatever you want to do. So let's go ahead and save and exit. But let's say you're at a point where you're like, okay, this information wasn't deep enough, right? You're like, okay, it gave me my social media post. It's good, but I want more research. I want more information. That's where you could look at something where to go Gemini deep research. Okay. You don't have to do this. It's just another example. If you feel like Chat GPT is letting you down in terms of research, once again, public knowledge stuff. So like just, that analysts that do stock picks, that people that predict real estate trends, a lot of the time they're just doing a really amazing job of aggregating public knowledge, like public data from the internet. So Gemini, which is Google's AI, does a really, really good job of that. So let's say for your comparative market analysis, you ended up deciding that it didn't do a good enough job on the pricing structure. Maybe you're like, this pricing structure is way too generic. Okay. This pricing structure is not using what I think is relevant information. And I want to really dive into AI and have AI do a better pricing structure than I'm going to do. Like that's what I want to have happen with AI. Well, you can get better market research from Gemini using something called Gemini Deep Research. And really what it is essentially is it'll do like a huge, what I asked is like, I was like, hey, can you take the past 5 years of historical real estate data in Calgary to help me forecast positive or negative sentiment for single family homes, condos, and townhomes in Calgary? I'd like to use historical data to try and get short-term predictions on how the current news affecting the Calgary real estate market will impact real estate as an investment opportunity. And it gave me this like full on report. Now, deep research does a way better job of researching than just your normal AI. So you could always imagine a scenario. So I'll give you exactly this. You go here and you're like, okay, let me go ahead and find one of these conversations. Let's see here. Let's do this. Okay. So we had, we'll keep using that one listing because let's go here. Where to go? Here we go. Okay. So this was the CMA report that it gave me before I put it into Gamma. So this is kind of like the details and the information. Well, let's go ahead and try something. Let's say I like all this, but it's like, it's kind of light. You know what I mean? Like it's cool, but like it's light. Hey, I have this CMA report for a real estate listing, but I don't feel like it's being priced in a way, let's say being priced. I don't feel like it's being priced in a way that is taking advantage of all the, most important data that will allow me to, price this accordingly. That sounds horrible. Let me try this again. I have a CMA report for a real estate listing, but I want to make sure to use the most up-to-date data and information to price this as competitively as possible. Can I give you the CMA and then also give you a market report so that you can review the market report and apply? So you review the market report and use it to improve the accuracy of your pricing. I'm just using examples here, guys. And at this point, I'm just kind of playing around. So here's the market report. So here's the CMA. Once you have it, let me know and I'll give you the market data as well. So like, I'm just giving you an example here, but you can do this for anything, right? If you have a listing, if you have anything, if you want to talk to a client, whatever it might be, if you have an email series and you're like, I need more data. Okay, no problem. You can go ahead and pull this incredibly accurate data from Google Deep Research, 5 years of resource data, 5 years of research, 5 years of historicals, all this stuff, and then all of the information, all of the sources to go along with it. And then you can come back over here and say, perfect. Here you go. Drop it in there and see what we can do here. So it's going to do this. We'll see what comes out of it. But once again, this kind of goes into the whole idea of being able to use it a little bit better. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here because I told you I could like ramble on this stuff forever. Please, the single biggest thing I want to leave you with, well, don't worry, I'll wait for this to come back, but I'll go through it. But the single biggest thing I want you guys to understand, okay, is that you will not benefit from AI if you keep trying to do like one-offs. If you keep trying to do, hey, listen, all right, what do we got here? If you keep trying to do, let's see what we got back. How did this work? Let's do give me a written explanation of your changes. So if you guys keep focusing on, I have to learn how to use AI to do this one thing, you're not going to benefit from AI at all. You won't, because you'll need to learn a million different little things rather than just having this deep understanding of how AI works. My job over these 3 series is to have you guys be equipped at the end to at least at minimum have the confidence to start trying to use AI to figure out things you don't know how to do. So that way, when I'm gone, you do not have to worry about any of that. Perfect example. Can I use this for emails? Can I use this for listings? Can I use it? AI can do all of it, every single thing that you can think of right now. I guarantee you AI can do at least 20% of that work for you, but you will not be able to use it if you always have to have someone holding your hand on how to use it. That's where you're going to struggle. So my biggest thing is I want to use a bunch of really relevant real estate examples for you. So that way it's not boring. Like I don't want to come in here and show you, stock picks and stuff like that, even though some people might be interested in that. But I want to use real estate examples to show you how to think about using AI, to show you how to think about the expectations, to show you how to get excited if it can do half of your work for you, but maybe it missed your brand logo. That's fine. Go in there and add the logo. It's not a big deal. Still did most of your work for you. I want you to walk away understanding that that's how you can look at the expectations. I want you to walk away and understand how, when you start from scratch, I have no idea where to start. Don't know what to do, where to go. I have this project I got to do. How do I go about it? Maybe instead of Googling, maybe instead of going to YouTube, maybe instead of hiring someone to do it, maybe just start with ChatGPT and be like, hey, I have this thing that I got to do. I have no idea where to start. I barely even know how to use you, ChatGPT, but could you walk me through this? Could you just like give me a step-by-step approach on how to do this? That's where the value comes in here. So anyway, I'm going to give you guys this also as well, because it's not super relevant to me, but once again, just kind of updating the pricing strategy based on market insights. You can go through and see if this is relevant to you. But once again, just an example of using ChatGPT. So guys, listen, appreciate you spending your time with me. I could talk forever. Jacqueline, thanks for hanging around. I know that this is actually probably mostly a burden on your end for being around, but
Not a
appreciate
problem. We're
you.
happy to have you. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you letting me talk to everybody. We still have 115 people that are still on half an hour after the fact. You guys are amazing. I really, 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 really enjoy this. I really do. It makes it easy for me. And I appreciate that you guys are letting me go a little bit deeper than most. And you guys are letting me do this 3-part series because I really, really believe in it. So please, I'm excited to see you guys at the next one next month. That is the final series that we're going to be doing. We're going to do something a little bit more advanced. Please go ahead and give your requests. If there's something specific you want to talk about, we'll go ahead and cover that. In the meantime, if you do want to support us at all, or if you just actually need real social media help, highly recommend joining our supplemental webinar that you will get details for in your email. Probably going to have it on Tuesday of next week. Please join us. It'll be myself. I'm going to give you a very concise, very direct way of how you can use AI for social media. A lot of agents don't enjoy trying to be influencers. They would rather just have consistent professional content. AI is amazing for that. I'm going to walk you guys through that step by step, similar to this. So if you guys want to join that, please do. Otherwise, reach out anytime. And I'm happy to be a resource to any and all Krebs members to get you guys equipped with AI. So thank you guys. You're amazing.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you everybody who's still sticking around here, and I hope everybody has an amazing day.